January 23rd.
The group of mischievous and energetic bad boys are relentlessly and aggressively bombing Peter with a continuous barrage of projectiles right now.
And Moscow. Shoot it down, fuck. Fuck, shoot it down. Yes. Bitch.
Well, that is unfortunate.
Muscovites
Are currently weeping quite uncontrollably.
in the center of Moscow exploded.
The individuals suffered a severe physical impact to the mouth area, which unfortunately resulted in several of their permanent teeth being completely knocked out and forcibly displaced from their natural positions within the jawbone.
Collapse in Moscow and Peter.
An unprecedented fleet of more than 600 sophisticated unmanned aerial vehicles is currently launching a massive and coordinated series of strikes against numerous major urban centers and strategic cities across the Russian Federation.
The armed forces of Ukraine are attacking Moscow, St. Petersburg, and important strategic nuclear airfields. Another
One just got hit. Whoa, yeah, somewhere nearby. It's all around us. Here, somewhere around here, it's 60.
1,000 Muscovites are stranded in airports. No electricity, no connection, no internet. Moscow, Peter, and 30 cities across Russia. It's been more than a day without a break. We attacked Moscow and the regions. Moscow airports are in chaos, with more than 200 flights canceled. Muscovites are in panic, crying, running out of food, cafes and ATMs closing, and a stampede has begun.
What should we do anyway? Wait,
Imagine he comes and must host you as a guest.
Yes. Did you pay him nothing just to lie around like this?
Well, it's already been 10 hours. No, because at least I see something. It should already be there.
I've been trying to communicate normally for a whole day, making calls. Respectfully, it's not working. Will there be life at all or not in the end? It's not working out normally. It's not working out. Breaking news, friends.
Russia is exploding. In
The city in the center of Moscow. But first of all, this is not the center.
these very moments, airfields and runways are burning, strewn with the wreckage of Su-34s and Su-35s.
Moscow and St. Petersburg are paralyzed. More than 200 flights have been delayed. Crowds, chaos, shouting, panic at the airports. Moscow, St. Petersburg, the Moscow region, and the Leningrad region were subjected to a massive drone attack last night. There is a crush, panic, collapse, and chaos at the airports in St. Petersburg and Moscow. More than 200 flights have been delayed in a single day. The Russians can't take off.
There are communication failures across the entire country. Mobile internet is down. Because of the operation of Russian electronic warfare, drones are attacking Moscow and St. Petersburg. Trains have come to a halt. There have been a series of large explosions in the Leningrad region. A strike was carried out on the Engels 2 nuclear airfield, a base for strategic aviation. Ammunition depots with aerial bombs have been attacked and are exploding. This is the work of the SBU, the main intelligence directorate, and the armed forces of Ukraine. The special operations Circle of Dina continues. The country is coming apart at the seams. The Kremlin is silent. The security forces are disoriented. We'll discuss all of this with top analyst Alexander Demchenko right now.
Hello, Dasha. Hello, everyone.
What do you think of the news?
It seems to me that soon all of Russia will sink. It's just not clear what into. Maybe even in blood. Or in Vladimir Putin's performance. Or simply, as they say, the belly button will come undone. And in the end, all of Russia will be flooded. Flooded because of this criminal war. The Ukrainian campaign will only escalate. A campaign to undermine the advance of Russian troops. It is stalled. The Sumy region has stalled. The southeastern direction is gradually stalling. And we can actually see that this is a major success. What the armed forces of Ukraine, the SBU, the military, and other Ukrainian intelligence agencies are doing right now. This is extremely important. Right now, all opportunities are being undermined. I wouldn't be surprised if soon Russian Pacific Fleet ships are simply blown up. Submarines are sunk, more fighter jets and bombers are destroyed. They've just struck the Sukhoi jets. They've just struck Engels as well. They're starting to hit. And do you know why, Dosha? Because if Trump stopped the weapons, now there are no agreements and no obligations. Previously, it was forbidden to strike Russian bases in the region with American weapons. You remember, right? All those bans from Biden, Trump, but now there's nothing. You canceled them. You gave Putin the green light. But in that case, Ukraine also believes it's been given the green light. And there will be strikes on Moscow, on St. Petersburg, on Leningrad region, on Moscow region, and on other regions. And on Siberia, on Primorye, and so on. Down the line for everything that has been done. And I'll go even further. I know that in the next 10 days, Malyuk is preparing a terrible response for Kyiv. There will be a terrible retaliation in Russia for Kyiv. Expect surprises. There will be a lot of them in the next 10 days. Hi.
Yesterday, when I was watching those clips, I was preparing for our broadcast with you. Collapse. At the airports in Moscow and St. Petersburg, they're all shouting, they're running, and music is playing. I remembered the Titanic, when before dying, they decided to play music, to dance, but then there was a communication breakdown across the whole country. But essentially, our drones caused a colossal collapse at the airports in the two largest cities of Russia, Moscow and St. Petersburg. And what happens next? How do people react to this?
Now, do you understand the song? That famous one from the Titanic? Play it in every airport every single day so they hear it and get used to the traitor. But you see, the thing is, even beyond Vladimir Putin, it's unclear who took off their pants before him. Either Trump did it in front of Putin, or Putin did it in front of Trump and waved his, well, as Maria Zakharova would put it, switching to her language, when he needed to escalate. Obviously, Trump and Putin didn't see eye to eye. Obviously, the deal is over. Ulitkov, now bitten by a goose for those gestures. In America, they're talking about the need to lift energy sanctions from Russia. Yes, Putin doesn't care. He couldn't care less. I'll even put it that way. Vladimir Putin doesn't care about energy sanctions or fertilizer sanctions. He doesn't care. He couldn't care less about anything, Dash. He'll continue the war. A new season is coming, a new stage of the war. A bigger war is coming, a global war. After the statement by China's top diplomat Wang Yi, who said that they won't let Russia lose, and after the statement by Secretary General Rutte, who indicated, what if China attacks Taiwan? In the near future, Xi will give the order to Volodymyr Putin to strike at Europe and attack Europe. That's it. You can forget about everything else. The war stopped being regional a long time ago, and now it's already reached its climax. The war has become global. And further, since Vladimir Putin wants to escalate the situation, to scale it up, and he is being pushed to do so by China, he will do the following. He will start by carrying out bloody crackdowns in Russia. You can already see that, can't you? The vice president of Transneft accidentally fell out of a window, jumped out. That's the 10th one already.
I think he lived on the 11th floor, but jumped from the 13th or 17th. The 17th.
He managed to find it somehow, he's saying. He made it there, no one knows how. The FSB guys threw it out. That's already the 10th one just in the last few years. The tanks. Just imagine, we wake up in the morning, Lavrov has been arrested, Peskov has fled Moscow with secret documents, Shoigu has hanged himself. Can you imagine? Putin has climbed into a refrigerator. Or more precisely, Medvedev instead of Putin. He climbed into the very same fridge from which that propagandist drank kefir. Russian Pasha Zarubin, a cursed centimere. Further, if we continue this thought completely seriously, then there will be terrorist attacks, showdowns, repressions, and people will be falling out of windows en masse all over Russia. They are already preparing extra train cars heading towards Siberia. Why? Labor camps, convicts. It all continues. The 155th Brigade, This week is very important for this brigade. Isn't that right, Dasho? The 155th Brigade was recently destroyed, eliminated just a few days ago, by the Ukrainian Armed Forces, by Ukrainian Special Services, on the territory of the Kursk region. The deputy commander of the Pacific Fleet of the Russian Federation in the Kursk region, and 11 other members of the top command of the 155th Brigade were also taken out, after the use of HIMARS by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. It's noteworthy that this, Mikhail Gudkov, the deputy commander of the Pacific Fleet and commander of the 15th Brigade, sat for many years covering up the most terrible crimes committed throughout Russia. For many, many, many years. The 155th Brigade by the Sea, which killed people in Bucha, Hostomel, and Vorpin, carried out massacres here, and has already been completely replaced 3 times, because it has always been used by Putin as cannon fodder, and continues to be used that way to this day. So, in Primorye, for those who don't know, these guys are considered the most terrifying military unit in all of Russia. The hazing there, Dasha, the hazing is so brutal, just so you understand. They behead conscripts there in Primorye. They cut off the heads of young guys aged 18 to 21, bury them in the forest, and beat them to death. All these thugs. And the whole country knows this. All of Russia, all of Primorye. And nobody does anything. Nothing. Are they afraid of Putin? FSB? Some fucking part. Some fucking brigade 155th. Stand up, the whole region, stand up. Just twist their heads off, beat them to hell with shovels. Mikhail Gudkov. Ukraine and the armed forces of Ukraine did the dirty work for them. Just like Israel did all the dirty work for Iran now. But nevertheless, so for the 155th Brigade, it's a holiday. Zyuganov, I thought he was dead. I thought he was a goner, that he had already died. Zyuganov. Now he showed up. He showed up and said, we need to cancel all these decrees. Khrushchev's. No, we shouldn't condemn the cult of personality. Stalin is alive and will live on. An order from the Kremlin. So, mass repressions, mass crackdowns, arrests. Another gulag, the bombing of Ukraine. He will intensify and scale all of this in the near future. So friends, respond to the siren. Respond to all possible warning sounds. Yes. But most importantly, even terrorist attacks. Terrorist attacks all over the country, primarily in Moscow and St. Petersburg. Why? For what purpose would he blow up GUM, or blow up Priachistinka, or blow up, I don't know. It looks like a large sports stadium. Or perhaps it is an athletic arena. I'll explain. Because it's necessary. It's necessary to abandon contract mobilization, to abandon the contract army. Everything needs to be switched to a free basis. Why does Putin no longer have money left for the war? There's just none left. Now the Americans are imposing sanctions. Strangely, or even without Trump, the Americans are imposing sanctions. Congress is imposing sanctions. That's clear too. Abramovich. Money is already, right this second, being taken out of America. The Americans are imposing sanctions. The Russian economy will get even worse, and it will start to shake. There's already a mess called a recession. So what's next? But money is needed for the war, for defense, and for manpower. Where do you get the money? Take it from the manpower, send them to war for free, and transfer everything from the universities to Rostec, to Rosoboron. How do you do that? You need to provoke some kind of explosion from within. How do you provoke an explosion? Organize mass terrorist attacks. He'll blow up apartment buildings. He'll blow up the Moscow metro. He'll blow up Ostankino. He'll blow up whatever he wants. Even Red Square, along with the mausoleum if he wants. He even took Lenin out of the mausoleum, just in case, so he wouldn't be lying there next to him. He closed the mausoleum. Now he'll blow up the mausoleum. I don't know. What difference does it make what it is? There will be mass terrorist attacks all over the country and all over Russia. Absolutely everything will be blown up. And then they'll blame it on Ukraine. So they'll start a new phase of the war in the near future. For us, is the Kerch Bridge an important target for elimination? What will happen if we damage it very badly? For Putin, it's important because then all of Russia will see that he's got nothing, that he can't do anything. Why are there explosions happening in Donetsk right now? Why are missiles flying at the Donetsk region? Because Putin took away the anti-missile systems, the air defense systems from there, the anti-aircraft systems, and sent them to the territory of Crimea. He completely stripped Donetsk and the Donetsk region bare. There were strikes on Kharkiv. Yes, the 8th Combined Arms Army was destroyed, left leaderless, without generals, and without colonels. That's how it remained. Recently, Ukraine delivered another catastrophic blow to them, to the Russian army. So what now? Crimea is exposed, or rather Donetsk, and he sent everything to Crimea. What will happen? The Black Sea Fleet base has been destroyed. The remaining ships will be destroyed. And everything he has been building there for more than 10 years in the occupied Ukrainian Crimea will be destroyed as well. They are being driven there like cannon fodder, like a living shield, using their own Russians, their own fellow citizens. They are just like him. It's simply incomprehensible. Who is the continuation of whom? Is it Putin for Russia or Russians for Putin? Do you understand? Because they support all of this. If they were losing, they would be whining and blaming Putin. And now, when Putin is bombing Ukraine every single day relentlessly, and Trump turns a blind eye to it, they rejoice, they celebrate. Just like they screamed in the Kursk region when Putin bombed them from the air, isn't that right? Oh, why? And now, like in the Rostov region, they cry out, oh, what do we have to do with this? Why are we being targeted? We supported Prigozhin. We even gave him flowers and sweets when he was marching on Moscow. But when you were sending your soldiers and lining up in streams and rows, holding hands, supporting Putin and his troops in uniform, back then, in your little jackets, you marched off to conquer Ukraine, to occupy Kyiv in 3 days, you bastards. For some reason, you were happy and rejoicing. That was when your so-called Russian winter began, and you got slapped in the face. And you keep getting slapped in the face. So now, Ukrainian missiles are striking Crimea. British and French missiles are hitting as well. The NATO summit has borne certain fruits. Apparently, the Europeans have given permission to strike Crimea. Putin knows this, but he doesn't have the strength or resources to defend Crimea. And if he tries to defend it, that vast Ukrainian peninsula, then he'll have to leave his rear exposed. That's why, Engels, that's why everything else is happening. He decided to direct everything toward Crimea. He sent it, he got it. Ukraine is tracking this very well. Military intelligence, the SBU, other intelligence agencies, foreign intelligence, and so on. They're tracking it very well. So what's happening in terms of relocating this or that type of weaponry? And they understand perfectly well where a strike can be delivered right now. In the near future, there will be catastrophic strikes. This event represents a truly catastrophic, profoundly deadly, and historically fateful strike directed against the nation of Russia, marking a monumental turning point that carries devastating consequences for the entire region and its future stability. The sheer scale of this unprecedented disaster has resulted in an overwhelming loss of life and structural damage that will be remembered as one of the most significant and tragic moments in the country's modern history, fundamentally altering the geopolitical landscape for years to come. On Russian territory, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and of course, a massive internet outage. All of this will be done by Ukraine's friendly drones, the ones Sobyanin tries to catch with his bare hands. Sasha, hold on a second. No. We have nothing to do with the internet here. We're not the ones shutting it down. It's those buddies who are shutting it down. Sobyanin, Putin, the FSB guys, and all the rest of them. But why? Because they need Muscovites to know absolutely nothing, so that the capital stays silent and asleep. They've set records. They've already, shut down the internet in key cities and regions of Russia about 100 times over the past year, if not more. In other words, they've gotten the hang of it and are now turning it into a whole operation. Why are they doing this? One fine day, the internet will disappear in Russia. Russia will curl up into a cocoon and fall into a deep lethargic sleep. And even a flood won't help. Everyone will just sleep through it. A bloody one, called Putin, he'll bomb everyone. He opens his favorite Pushkin and reads The Bronze Horseman. In the end, everyone there lost their minds. The same fate awaits him at the end of Vladimir Putin's path. Dmitry Lovovich Baikov says that he will disappear. But I say that first he'll go mad, and only then will he disappear. And it will happen right before our eyes.
I hope that his daughter, who is working on prolonging his youth and life, will inject him with some drug that will make him disappear. They'll just mix something up, because as I understand it, he's involved in. As far as I understand, Putin is actually growing organs for himself for future transplants. At least that's what I gathered. What exactly is he doing in that clinic? Savas.
I don't know what kind of organs he's growing there. He's cultivating them. But Dasha, listen, maybe he needs other organs too, but listen. I think he has two candidates for those purposes. And he doesn't even need to take anything from himself. No genes at all. There's Shoigu and there's Medvedev. Just mummify them like that. Preserve them and then take Shoigu's cheeks for yourself. Why pay money? Why spend money on plastic surgery, inject yourself with Botox or whatever else he's injecting himself with? Here are Shoigu's cheeks, here's Medvedev's butt, and as for hair, I don't know, maybe General Gerasimov's. And just take all of that for yourself and put it together. What's the difference? And out in the provinces, Rozhanin still doesn't know what Vladimir Putin looks like. A monstrous creature. You see? That's all there is to it. Putin is starting a campaign to eliminate all those leaders of the former Soviet republics who get in his way and who don't want to rejoin the Russian UN. That's the first thing. Aliyev has long since slipped out of control, and he switched sides toward Erdogan. They have a joint army with Turkey, joint intelligence, a joint navy, joint air forces. Everything is shared. Even construction projects have shared. It's obvious that for now, Erdogan doesn't want to get directly involved in a military conflict with Putin. But after Aliyev simply exposed the FSB agents, FSB officers, colonels, lieutenant colonels, they're in Baku who were working under the guise of journalists, propagandists, Margarita Simonyan, the Sputnik outlet. After that, he has to show that he's capable of striking back hard, to show a response, to give back. And what does he need to do for that? He needs to escalate the situation to the limit. The problem is that when Vladimir Putin starts escalating a situation, he can't stop. He can't stop, you understand? So basically, this means that ultimately there's a threat that Russia's tanks will head for Baku, but then he'll get a harsh response. Then Turkish fighter jets will destroy Russian bases in Crimea. That will happen 100%. Putin doesn't have a second Ali, and the Turkish army is not some army from a weak part of Europe. This is an army that has seen plenty of combat in the Middle East and Africa. And one that knows how to help. The one that helped Aliyev reclaim Nagorno-Karabakh. This is an army that has been fighting for decades and has combat experience with technologies so advanced that Putin couldn't even dream of them. American technologies, the best technologies in the world. I'm more than sure. And by the way, the Azerbaijani army has Israeli technologies, some of the best in the world. So if Putin starts something, the Caucasus will face a major struggle in a big war. And Putin will lose his war here.
This is very important. And you know, Sasha, when we talk about the Pacific Fleet, about what we blew up there, the gas pipeline, I thought that most likely there are a huge number of dormant SBU agents on Russian territory. Because to carry out such special operations so far from the Ukrainian border, well, that's serious.
The most important sleeper agent. I'm even going to name him now. The top SBU sleeper agent on Russian territory is Vladimir Rudolfovich Solovyov. I'm sure that very soon, Malyuk will load him up with Ukrainian explosives, a drone, or something else. And at the next award ceremony with Putin, everything will go up in the air. Along with the Kremlin and with Putin, the top sleeper agent is Vladimir Solovyov. He's all about the money, all about the money. So honestly, buying him off is a piece of cake. He's been bought a long time ago. He's been loaded up a long time ago. And he's been ready for anything for a long time. You see Vladimir Solovyov. Recently, he was even ready to defend Israel, though he soon forgot about that promise. But I think the main agent, I'm joking, of course, friends. Because you never know, someone might actually think that Solovyov has long been recruited by the Ukrainian election.
Friends, that was some hard trolling, sarcasm. This is a sarcastic show we have here. Yes.
So, Dasha, what I want to say is this. I want to say that, indeed, in Russia, there are a huge number, like you said, of sleepers, sleeper agents, and so on, partisans. And many American publications have written about this. They wrote about it and were very surprised. American and British intelligence were very surprised because it turned out that the Ukrainians had infiltrated much more deeply. The entire Russian intelligence apparatus, all the security agencies, the Kremlin, and so on and so forth, are saturated with Ukrainian agents. It turns out that over the decades, people established contacts and always worked in the interests of Ukraine, not Russia. And this is a big problem. What was happening was Operation Spiderweb. This is because there are these kinds of sleeper agents. What happened with the Pacific Fleet and continues to happen is also because there are such sleeper agents. Ukraine has thousands of sleepers in Russia. I'm afraid to imagine what would happen if they all woke up at once. And I think that there is this objective, more and more often, for all of them to wake up. I think such a goal will be set, yes. Bada boom, right? That's how you usually say it, right? There will be a big bada boom. All across Russia.
By the way, dear auditors, people always wonder why I use that word. Friends, if you're fans of quality cinema, there's a brilliant film, The Fifth Element by Luc Besson, where the main character, the fifth element, who saved the whole world, said this phrase, "Gom." That's where it's from. Because everyone wonders why it's pronounced that way. Sasha, regarding the boom bada booms, what else do I want to discuss with you? So we see that Donald Trump has for the first time said that he is dissatisfied with Putin. In general, this kind of rhetoric is rather strange for him. Their honeymoon, their homoerotic relationship is being discussed all over the world. Does this mean that soon American bunker-busting bombs will attack Putin's bunker? Or not just yet?
This means that Donald Trump will soon have to give Ukraine everything. Because there is no other option left here. Putin took off his underwear after wetting himself, waved his privates in front of Trump, and slapped Trump across the face with them, and did it publicly. Because right after the phone call, which Trump was unhappy about, Putin went and carried out one of the largest strikes across all of Ukraine, including Kiev. And he struck indiscriminately, even hitting the Polish consulate, just to show the Europeans that he didn't care about any of them. Both Trump and the Europeans. And after that, of course, Trump has no idea what to do. He's unhappy with the conversation. What did he expect? Did he think Putin would listen to him? No. Did he think Putin would turn away from China? No. We all saw who is orchestrating the war, who is the main player in this war. Did he think that Putin would back down and say, all right, lift the sanctions off me and I'll agree to everything. I'll sign any treaty, agreement, memorandum, and so on with Ukraine and Zelensky? No. But as far as I understand, Russia has publicly stated that if America stops helping Ukraine, and if the West, primarily America, stops sending weapons to Ukraine, then they are all ready to sit down at the negotiating table, and there will be peace. Peace as soon as tomorrow. Negotiations between Putin and Zelensky. Will there be the signing of a peace treaty together with Trump or without Trump? There will be nothing of the sort with him. This is not in Vladimir Putin's plans. But whether Trump wants it or not, there has been a lot of talk about the Patriots. Now everyone is blaming this poor Dag, who for the third time already keeps getting himself into some kind of trouble, very strange ones. So it's clear that Trump made this decision. But there is pressure. There is pressure from Americans, from the American elite, from the American media. There is pressure from American industrialists because of the military-industrial complex. There is pressure from American financiers. There is pressure from congressmen and senators. And Trump was left not just in the minority, but one-on-one. And right next to him is Elon Musk, who's just as crazy as he is. He's creating a new party and wants to take power away from Trump. So what is he supposed to do? He urgently needs to become a hawk, to be kind, and to help Ukraine. And very soon we'll see all the missiles that will be sent to Ukraine. Yes, they wanted to organize this pause against Ukraine and the Europeans together. Yes, Trump plans to pull out of Europe and Ukraine and hand everything over to Putin. This entire vast territory of the European bloc, the European continent. Why? Let me explain. Because everyone will be fighting in Europe and Trump will be the one sponsoring everything. He'll be selling weapons to everyone, giving out money and bargaining with all parties. And he will be destroying Europe, which he considers his main geopolitical competitor. Not China, not Russia. He considers Europe to be his main rival on the globe. But in the near future, Trump's plans will be neutralized and collapse. Of course, we are facing difficult times. Naturally, the situation will be turbulent. Obviously, everything we're witnessing now is very complicated. Putin will take advantage of, or rather try to take advantage of this window of opportunity. But he has little time, he has no money, and he has big problems. And on top of everything else, Dasha, soon hellish sanctions will be imposed, whether Trump wants it or not. And Putin definitely won't get off easy.
My God, this is just a wonderful ending. Join us in the comments. Write everything you think about this, about our tandem, our duet, and everything you think about the suggestions. Sasha, Devchanka, Sage, the final word is yours. Thank you. Say something to our audience to wrap up.
Friends, hang in there. Everything will be all right. Putin won't take away our hopes, Saba. Until we meet again, Ukraine. See you next time. Bye.
Glory to the heroes.